F1 podcast. It's Raw, Keek, or Race Week if you're not Ferrari. And we are very excited to be building up to the Bahrain Grand Prix and the start of the 2023 F1 season. So we're going to be running through our favourite for the championships, how it's going to go, who's going to finish bottom of the championship, which races we're looking forward to, which races Nigel will get angry at, all of them. But before we do that, we're joined by Freddie Coates and Nigel Schubert. I say that, or someone says that every episode, but who really are Freddie Coates and Nigel Chu? I'll give the floor to them to introduce themselves ahead of the season. Nigel, you're up first.
I'm not sure how we're going to do this and how serious this is meant to be, but this is actually a good thing because I will say Adam did bring this up, and some of you have been listening for, I don't know, a year, 6 months, 2 episodes, or maybe just this episode is your first one, and you won't know who we are unless you've gone on the internet and spent 15 minutes looking for us. Basically, we all met at uni. We should start with that. Then we decided to do a podcast before the 2020 season. In a way, fortunately, it was delayed because that meant we actually did it, because we probably wouldn't have done it if it started off in Australian Grand Prix in March. So in that sense, we're fortunate. And we've done 181. Well, this is the 181st episode since then. But to answer your question, I'm a journalist, which is not a good thing. I'm working with Eurosport at the moment. I love sport a lot, probably like too much. F1 is my main one, though, and snooker, shut up. But no, I don't know what to say, Adam.
You write for Total Motorsport as well?
Yeah, I write for Total Motorsport with Adam. And then that's just my life is sport, basically. But F1's my favourite one, I guess. And I've been writing for a few years now, and I'm very fortunate to be doing what I'm doing, especially with Eurosport, because they've been very good to me and that kind of thing. I think I've been very lucky the last 2-3 years, I'd say, overall, and that's why I'm still doing this podcast with these guys, because they are just as great, if not probably better than me. Anyway, so speaking of better, here's Freddie.
Oh no, Nigel, you sell yourself too short. You're a fantastic writer, and you should go and check out Nigel's work on Total Motorsport and Eurosport. I'm Freddie. I do motorsport media. That's about it, really, I guess. Yeah. I work for MSV, which is Brands Hatch, Donington Park, and the like, and I do PR and social for them. Not as much to add. I don't have my life story.
You've previously written for WTF1. Can we say that? You've previously written for WTF1.
Yeah, I have previously written for WTF1. I've previously been involved with the Autosport Academy and the race. So, yes, I've done decent motorsport work, and I'm looking to do more with the Wing It F1 podcast.
It'd be sad if you said I'm not looking to do any more.
And now I'm going to quit on the end of the season.
And he's the only one who can do a mic drop. So when the time does come, then he's fully prepared. I'm Adam. I am still at Sheffield University. That's where we all met on the journalism course. And the reason I am not out in the world of work yet is because I went abroad last year, spent a year. Well, not full time. Spent a year in Oklahoma doing university there and had the most amazing time. And now I'm back here being the glue that holds the podcast together. But I also write for Nigel Got Me, my job at Total Motorsport, writing there. So covering F1 there, including this weekend Bahrain Grand Prix. And I don't exactly know what I'm going to be doing in about 3 or 6 months' time, but I'm excited about it. And when that does happen in about maybe the British Grand Prix, Austrian Grand Prix, something like that, then the podcast listeners won't be the first to know, but they will know.
No. And just on Total Motorsport, they do allow us to put the podcast on there with our own little section, which is very nice, of course. So, big up to them. And if you want to see any analysis or strategy nerdy stuff from me or Adam or the rest of the guys there, go and check it out, because we are writing stuff.
Because it's been or if you want to hear analysis after you've read that stuff, then come listen to this, because we will be doing race reviews and previews throughout the season, starting with Bahrain. And I think it's something we all really enjoy doing. It's one thing that's been constant in my life over 3 years now, coming up 3 years now. There aren't many things really in terms of like lived in different countries, been with different people, and now we're still doing this 3 years on. So yeah, it's I think something we all enjoy doing. And without further ado, we will get into our season preview. It's going to be a good one, we hope. And part of how it will be good is how many race winners we have, how many people we have competing at the top of the grid. So we're going to start with that in a kind of joint double barrel, give both barrels. How many race winners do you think there'll be, and who will have the most race wins of the season? Obviously, last year, Verstappen had the most wins, and there were 5 race winners over the course of the year in George Russell, Verstappen, Perez, Leclerc, and Sainz. Will it be more, less, or the same? We shall find out. Freddie, I'll throw to you first.
I think Verstappen will have the most wins, and I think there will be 7 race winners.
I also think Verstappen's going to have the most wins, and I think there's only going to be 6 race winners this season.
I agree with Nigel, which I know is quite boring, but yeah, I think we'll come on to Aston Martin later, but they seem the best.
So the 6 race winners you've got, are you thinking the big 3 teams will all win one each, or is Alonso going to nick one? Or is
okay. I'm thinking the big 3 teams drivers will all get one each. Although,
so you think Hamilton's going to win a race after not winning? Yeah,
actually, the ones who kind of give me more food for thought are Sainz and Perez. Actually,
okay,
because I think if the team's having a strong weekend, I think Russell and Hamilton are both very capable of winning. Whereas for those 2 drivers, particularly Perez, then if the Red Bull is tuned in, then he needs Verstappen to have, something go wrong really, because Verstappen is the faster driver. And same with Sainz, but to a lesser extent. So yeah, I think, he's still lacking a bit to Leclerc. So actually they're the ones that make me kind of making me reconsider it. But okay. Yeah. In fact, to be different, I'll say 5, but 5.
I would. It is worth mentioning it's a long season.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And as much,
no, I'm not 6. Sorry,
you're going 6. All right, yeah, I am writing this down, so I have crossed that out twice now. And Verstappen, we all think for most.
Yeah.
Equally though, if Red Bull do have a dominant, 2013 Vettel season for Verstappen, there will literally only be 4. Or possibly even 3 race winners, possibly. If Verstappen manages to break his wins record of, was it 15 last year, then it's not going to be that exciting, unfortunately. And there's not going to be many race winners, is there? So we're being optimistic-ish. Although I think Red Bull don't have as big of an advantage as people think, as you can hear in the last episode that we did.
Yeah, and that's where what Freddie said comes into it, really. It is a long season. So, there is... I think based off the early season running, then it does look like we could have different teams winning, at least 2 teams winning the first, within the first 5 races, I'd say so.
In the most recent dominant season we had, which you could say was 2020, well, no, for sort of, you'd expect 1 or 2 race winners throughout, because it was just Mercedes. It wasn't even any hope of Ferrari or Red Bull or anything like that. We had 5 race winners, and you had Gasly and Perez and Verstappen joining Bottas and Hamilton in that rostrum. So there is potential for wacky and wild stuff. We've had Ricciardo and Gasly and Ocon win races recently, as which is essentially mad. So we nearly had Norris win a race as well in 2021. So,
but then if you picked 2017, 18, 19. We didn't really have that, did we? In 2019, Mercedes won the first 7 or 8 races up to France.
Yeah,
and then obviously the second half of that season was brilliant, though. Especially in the summer, there was a run of 6 or 7 races from. It was Germany, Hungary, British Grand Prix, Italian Grand Prix, Singapore, and one other. Were absolutely amazing races, and we got different race winners there as well. So
there's a lot that could be completely wild.
And
a lot that could be completely predictable, and that's why we're trying to predict it and making sure you're aware that we'll probably get it wrong.
And continuing that theme of potential craziness, we'll go on to how many different drivers there will be standing on the podium. I've not got an answer written down for this one either yet. So again, I'm going to throw to Nigel first.
I think 9 podium people. How many did last year again? Was it 7?
Last year was 7.
Last year was 7. So what, I assume you've got
13 in 2021.
So I assume you've got the big six, and where are the other three coming from? Sorry, yeah, the big three teams, big six.
One from Aston, one from Alpine, and one elsewhere.
That's what I was going to do as well. I was going to say 2 from Aston and 1 from Alpine though.
Okay.
As in drivers, I was going to say probably Stroll and Alonso, Sainz, Leclerc, Perez, Verstappen, Hamilton, Russell, and either Ocon or Gasly. I don't know which, but and that's not saying that say Ocon or Gasly could get like 5 podiums, but it'd be, I still only think there'll be one Alpine driver doing it. That's how I'm defending myself there. What's your one other, Nigel? Come on, we're gonna have to make you choose this.
De Vries.
I mean, AlphaTauri are a weird team. Like,
I don't think they're that weird though. I don't think any team's that weird.
I'm trying to think. Norris is going to get on the podium in a wet race towards the end of the season.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, that's actually where I'm leaning towards for mine is 10.
10, nice.
I can see 2 Aston Martin drivers or 2 Alpine drivers getting there. And then, you only need 1 from 2 of the teams to get there. One of them could be Norris, one of them could be Aston or Alpine. So, going 10 for that. I hope so. Like, I do. It's a weird one. Like last season, because there was the teams. I mean, Mercedes weren't exactly clear at the top, but they were in terms of getting podiums and race finishing results. So with their reliability, especially. So because there was that monopoly at the top of those teams, then it made it really difficult for anyone to break in, which is why Norris was the only one to do it all season.
But if we're right about Aston Martin, then it could be a bit easier. See, testing pecking order podcast here.
Yeah. Hype.
From the top of the grid to the bottom of the grid, our next prediction is who will be bottom in the Drivers' Championship. It's a really tough one. It's a tough one to put to label a driver with, but as Nigel has said over the last few episodes, someone has got to be bottom, and I am going to say for that mantle, Logan Sargent.
It's tough. I don't like this question, to be honest.
Out
of all the questions we've got, even me, I'm quite harsh.
I'm just kind of. I think I wouldn't put Logan Sargent as the worst driver on the grid, as a driver, as a talent, but I do. I'm just stalling to give you more time, really. I think Williams, I expect, will be around the bottom. I think they'll be battling for 9th or 10th with AlphaTauri, and then I just think, he performed better in testing than I thought, but I still think this year might be a learning curve. It's not really a knock on him, but I just coming in from an F2 rookie straight into being an F1 rookie is difficult, and I think it will be 2024 will be where we'll see really the best of early Sargent. But
it's really a question of who we think could sneak a 9th place across the season,
or who won't,
or who won't, of course. And as we're doing this out of regular season drivers, we know there could be an opportunity for people to jump in. For instance, Felipe Drugovich, something like that. We're not going to count these kind of drivers for this overall guess.
I mean, Drugovich could still jump in and not be. Not be 20.
Precisely, they could not be, but we could have someone jump into like the Haas mid-season. Say, not that we want this to happen, but something could happen to Hulkenberg and Magnussen, for instance. But we're not going to count that. This is just about the 20 drivers who will show up in the pre-title sequence for Formula One's race, basically.
I'll go Sargent as well, because I don't think he'll score points, and then is he going to get
that's
11th
important
or 12th
in the championship?
See, that's the thing, because I think I agree with what Adam's saying about it with Sargent, that he's not the worst, but it's hard to sort of.
Is that combined with the team?
Yeah.
Is Williams going to have the race pace to hold on to a 9th or 10th or 11th like Albon did last year?
I think they will. I think they will have the potential to do more than that. I think more than an AlphaTauri is my thing.
Oscar Piastri.
I'm thinking Tsunoda.
Ooh.
Because I have a feeling that De Vries could sneak at a 12th place or 11th place, really, even in a pointless season, more than Tsunoda could. So
2 weeks ago, I said Tsunoda was going to have like a breakthrough season, but
I've just said he's going to be last, so no.
Yeah, so we've got contrasting views, but like he might not even have the car to kind of prove that, so he's going to have to drive out of his skin. It looks like, but yeah, I'll go Sargent. Freddie's gone Tsunoda.
Okay, yeah,
it is a mean question, and I feel bad for writing it, but also I enjoy making you.
Oh, I thought it was Adam who wrote it.
No, I wrote it. I wrote all of this,
and people think I'm the mean one. People like Andy.
Oh yeah. For those who don't know, Nigel has just name checked someone I work with who has listened to the podcast and said he didn't like Nigel.
Love you, Andy. Yeah. Moving on.
Moving on back up to the top of the grid. Last year, the title was decided. The Drivers' Championship was decided at a rain-soaked Suzuka in a curtailed Japanese Grand Prix. But will it be the same again? If it's exactly the same again, then that would be absolutely wild, especially if Johnny Herbert isn't on Sky Sports anymore. But
especially considering they've changed the rules, so that can't happen again.
Yeah.
But apart from all of those caveats, then I'll go out. I think Mexico City. I think Verstappen. I just don't see anyone being able to sustain a season.
Don't spoil the who's going to be champion, Adam.
I think it's going to be someone, and they are going to win the Mexico City Grand Prix. I think F1 would love for it to happen at Vegas because they're putting a lot into the Vegas Grand Prix. But I'm not. Yeah, I hope I'm
Abu Dhabi for me. Final race decider.
Yay! How positive.
Interesting.
I mean, if it is Japan, considering there's 6 races after Japan this year, because we've got the return of Qatar and the inclusion of Vegas, I think that would be mega disappointing. What? Mega disappointment. I'm gonna be
good.
I'm gonna split the difference between you two and say Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
So what we've got Mexico City, Interlagos, and Yas Marina.
Yeah, the way I see it is, if I'm right, then I'm right, and if I'm not right, then we've got a good season or a better season. So that's fun. So I win both ways. Really, it's a win-win for me. Whereas Nigel's gone all or nothing. It's gonna. I think Lewis won in 2017 at Mexico City.
17 and 18.
Yeah,
19 was Cota.
USA. Yeah.
And purely because they switched Cota in Mexico around, so the round was actually the same round that he won the championship in, but it was in terms of round number, but they just had the race the wrong way around.
And then will Mexico City be the best race of the season? I don't think so, but that's our next question that we're going to tackle. Again, I can go first because I'm on a run of it. To me, it's a choice between Silverstone, Interlagos, or Austria, because I think they are the tracks that I most trust to deliver consistent racing. And out of those is really between Silverstone and Interlagos. I just think, there's not been a bad race at either for a while. And I'm going to go Interlagos. I think the Brazilian Grand Prix is going to be great, especially because, teams will have a bit more chance to catch up over the season. I do see the grid getting closer together across the course of the season. So, yeah, really, last season's British Grand Prix was fantastic, but it was fantastic because Verstappen wasn't. He'd taken his engine penalty, so he was at back. So, yeah, I think Brazilian Grand Prix I am already excited for, Nigel.
So, if you use logic for once, Bahrain has been pretty good for the last 10 years. But I don't think we've ever said, or anyone's ever said, Bahrain, the season opener was the best. But he's probably always been the top 3, top 5 the last few years, hasn't it?
2020 wasn't even without Grosjean's crash.
Okay, yeah, not that. But in general, like over the last 10 years, it's been a pretty good race for each season, especially the last 2 years. But I'm going to go with the Hungarian Grand Prix. I think there's always a good chance of wet weather there. And when you add rain to a motor race, it spices it up because there's more factors, more variables. I enjoy the track as well. It's difficult to overtake, but not too difficult. So yeah, Hungary for me.
Hungary was one of my shortlist, one in my shortlist, but because Nigel said it, I now can't say it because that's the rules. the rules that we've internally put on ourselves. Because if we did that for every question, it'd be hilarious if two of us had to say, yeah, Verstappen won't get the most wins. As you can see, I am stalling here and scrolling.
You've got to
through
say the
calendar.
British Grand Prix, Freddie. Come on.
I'm not going to say the British.
You are
Grand Prix.
Mr. British Grand Prix
Why am I Mr. British Grand Prix?
because you go every year.
There's a good
Apart from
reason.
last year.
Yeah, apart from last year.
You not got qualified.
I did go to the qualifying. Actually, that's true.
You still went.
Thank you for helping me stall, gents. And I'm going to say Qatar.
You see, oh come on, man.
Yes, Qatar.
The track limits there. The
track limits is all gravel. It's all gravel.
No, it's not. No,
it was all gravel when we went there in 2021.
It's not a good track. I mean, I'm saying this because
it's going to be the best race of the year, mate.
I'm saying this because I've got Qatar's my worst race. the circuit is just, it's not good. I mean, they've been talking about gonna have a street circuit, wasn't it? But they're still sticking with
They're redoing the pits and paddocks complex.
That's money.
Yes.
I just don't like the track. Out of all the tracks, it's like bottom 4, bottom 5 track for me, and I don't think the racing is that good either there for the layout of it and that kind of thing. But we have only had one race there, so you can't really.
And on that race there, I think the drivers did like it. They liked driving on it. They felt that it was kind of challenging, but still gave something back to them. So I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt for now and see how it goes, because also in 2020 it wasn't the most competitive season, so I think that played into it.
It was in 2021 Qatar Grand Prix, mate. Hamilton won second. It was the Rogue Marshall weekend.
Yeah, and Hamilton. It was what set up the title to decide it. Yeah, sorry. Doesn't add a moment. Freddie, I'll throw to you next for your worst race.
It's a hard one, this, but I could say Qatar again and just mess with your mind.
Because then you've got like a good chance to get one of them right.
Yeah. I'm going to say one that I think is going to disappoint me that I say it, but I'm going to say Canada.
Yeah, I can see that.
I know, I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it.
Like Canada.
I like Belgium.
Canada too, but
Canada and Belgium in terms of the racing hasn't been good the last 10 years.
Was good. Canada's had great racing over the last.
It's had great racing, but it's also has had some quite dull races. But I'm not basing this on anything. I'm just saying it. So
I really like Canada. One of my favorite.
I really like it, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I really hope I'm wrong. But also, to be honest, it's a sad question because ideally we want all the races to be good. So naturally, Nigel wants Qatar to be the best race of the year, but he's had to say it's going to be the worst race of the year against his better judgment. So,
Adam, what's your pick?
Again, it's difficult and completely arbitrary.
Yes,
I think that in the early season, there's Australia and Miami. I've done enough Miami bashing over the past year, so I'll leave that out for now. Monaco and Belgium will probably be bad races, but will go under the radar because, to be fair, Monaco's been good recently. Belgium I've not got much hope for. I think it's good that they put it before the summer break. And then at the end of the season, Mexico City Grand Prix and Abu Dhabi probably won't be amazing. Either Vegas could not be very good or it could be amazing. We'll have to see.
Come on, give us an answer. Come on. Oh.
You still loads on the last one.
Yeah, I'm being Jeremy Paxman now.
I think Adam's going to say Mexico. I can see it. Be honest.
He's not going to now you've said that.
No, be honest. Where are you going to say Mexico?
To be honest, it's between Australia and Mexico. It's just, because of how competitive it's going to be in the early season. Yeah, I'll go with Mexico.
Yes, I know him.
He knows me.
I'm in your head now. I'm getting you back for the rankings podcast in early January.
And we'll go continuing on. Potentially negative races. Then the races that Nigel will get angry at, and there's 6 sprint races this season, and realistically, it's going to be one of them. So that's Azerbaijan, Austria, Belgium, Qatar, the US Grand Prix, and the Brazilian Sao Paulo Grand Prix. So it may not be one of those, but they do tend to make Nigel quite angry. So, which
the thing is what has been my angriest race for the last 3 years? Because I don't like. Yeah, how do you judge? Because surely it's every race, like you said at the start, as a half joke.
Yeah, to be fair, it's quite difficult to narrow it down, to be honest. But we thrown it in there anyway. I assume Freddie put it in there.
I did.
So
I'll
put him on the pedestal first.
I'm just trying to figure out basically on which podcast episode do I think Nigel's rant is going to be the longest. Basically, I'm not saying he's going to he's going to not be angry at all of them, but
actually, I'm going to jump the gun and say Qatar.
Yeah, fair enough. That's probably already in this episode. So
it's funny. Me and Adam were talking a couple of days ago about like I'm not targeted, but each year, apart from last year, I've had something or someone where I've kind of gone early and said they're not going to do well. First season it was Albon, obviously, after like 2 or 3 races. Then Ricardo, I jumped quite early on that as well. Last year,
Albon after really 2 or 3 laps.
Last year I didn't really have anyone, and this year obviously we'll have to see what happens. But yeah, it will be interesting if there is something.
Do you think Qatar as well?
Well, because also it could be like a Ferrari strategy cock up, like last year made you angry. It might not be the actual circuit, but it could be something like that.
Yeah. Or like an incident or something.
Yeah.
Because me, incidents get me fired up as well. So yeah.
I think Singapore.
Well, I like Singapore though. I really like Singapore.
Yeah, but then maybe
that's why it's going to disappoint you.
Okay, I see what you're doing. I love Singapore. Do I have to answer this question?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? It's again completely arbitrary.
Trying to think of word might be like a stupid incident but Spain.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. I do genuinely think I'm onto something with the sprint race. I think that narrows it down to 6. But yeah, like which sprint race do we think will be the best this season? Because they, like we said, they've gone for 6. Imola was good last season, so was the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. So it's kind of 2 quite different tracks there.
I think Brazil.
Imola isn't one this year.
No, from last season they were the good ones.
Oh right, okay, yes. I think it is difficult, but as I've said, Qatar is going to be the best race of the year. Maybe I should stick with that and say that Qatar is going to be the best sprint of the year as well.
Yeah, I think Sao Paulo, Brazil. It's just a great track, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so as well, but I don't know. I'm looking at Baku because I think Baku could be very all or nothing. Because if there are drivers behind, then it could be quite
that's true.
tense. It could be quite a tense fight if there are drivers having to come through from the Baku of the grid, and there could be some engine penalties there as well. It's too early in the season actually.
There won't be
engine penalties, and someone in big trouble.
There won't be engine penalties in the sprint anyway.
Yeah.
And I mean, my thing about that is if it's what's made Baku races good has been sort of hecticness and stuff. It could just be a sprint under safety car.
There's not enough tyre deg at Baku to make the sprint interesting. I mean, we'll talk about this in the Baku preview in about 2 months, but there's not enough tyre deg at
We'll
Baku.
have a whole month before the Baku Grand Prix to do it. So
yeah. But yeah, if Adam's gone Baku, I've gone Brazil, and Freddie's gone.
Oh well, I haven't, to be honest.
Oh, you have not.
I'm still. I'm just going to stick with what we know and go with Brazil. I think Kota could be an interesting one as well.
I think
Kota of the new tracks, Kota's might.
Of the new
sprint tracks.
Yeah.
I've done lots of eggs into this Qatar basket.
I can't wait for it now.
I know. I've got to look forward to it somehow.
The Belgian Grand Prix is a strange one for a sprint, considering it's the longest track as well. And
would it be like 11 laps?
Yeah. It'll be really, really short. But yeah, I'm not that hopeful for that. But we shall see.
That could be a really interesting one on fuel. Cars could just run out of fuel.
You need to get back up the hill as well.
F1 driver, but who knows?
If the start-finish rate was at like Stavolo, then you'd be able to like run out of fuel at halfway through the last lap and then just slither down. But it isn't, so you can't. Because it's like a bobsleigh run. And then who put this? Will any races be cancelled? What Will any races be cancelled?
I didn't write any of these questions, man. No, I don't think
No.
it will be cancelled. No.
What a waste of 30 seconds. Another negative one. I'm going no as well for what it's worth. Not much. Another negative one, but I think there will be quite a lot of interesting talk about this, is who will remain on the 2024 F1 grid, because there is, as we talked about in our F3 and F2 preview, I mean particularly F2 preview relevant to this, there is a bumper crop of drivers in F2 coming up. The entire top 6 or 7 of last season's F3 have stepped up to F2, and there are some super talents in there, and there's also good drivers sticking around for their second or third seasons as well. So it's really, there could be a lot of drivers putting pressure on seats, but then it's which ones actually take it or not. So Nigel, how many drivers from the 2023 grid will be there in 2024?
Oh, how many? I was going to give you 2 names.
Oh, okay. Well,
Can
2.
I do that? 2,
All right.
yeah, 2 drivers will be on the F1 grid. One at Alfa Romeo and one at Alfa Tauri, because of Porsche at Alfa Romeo, and then Liam Lawson or Wasser at Alfa Tauri.
So
That's
which
how I see
2?
it.
Joe and what?
Yeah, Joe and De Vries, I think.
Okay, interesting.
I think at Alfa Romeo, Bottas will be quite, considering his experience at Mercedes, I think he'll be quite valuable to have around as Audi come in there trying to build, I guess, that
Yeah,
culture and
that's
that
It's
winning
interesting because
team.
that's a long way away.
But the wheels are starting to turn. I mean,
Yeah.
certainly from next season.
True.
Yeah, I don't know. I can actually see Joe weirdly staying on the grid just because he seems to be really well liked at Alfa Romeo, and I can see them wanting to give him a third season. I don't think he'll kind of crater. So I'm going to store some more and throw it to Freddie.
Yeah, it's fair enough. It's the right thing to do to throw to me. It's a really annoying question. It's a really annoying
Yes,
question.
and someone wrote it.
Yeah, I know I wrote it. Piss off.
It's a good question.
But it's the kind of thing. It's kind of like, because we're at the stage of the season where the driver market feels so flat and the drivers feel so locked in. You can't even think of anyone pushing their way in and pushing someone out, even if like some moves could surprise. I think 2 drivers won't be on the grid, and I think it will be Hulkenberg and Tsunoda.
Oh, Nico.
I forgot.
Oh, Yuki as well.
I'll stick with 2 though.
See, I think definitely one at Alpha Tauri.
Right.
Because here's the thing, like Freddie said, when you look at it, then there's not like it. The grid does look. Oh, sorry, the silly season potential for driver shakeups does look pretty flat. But if someone, I don't know, if Alonso decides to retire at the end of this season, that will obviously shake up further down, and there'll be a seat opening up either at Aston Martin or lower down the grid. And someone gets promoted. So I'm gonna again say 2, but I don't really know where. I'd say one at AlphaTauri, but I'm not really sure. Like, I can't name a team.
It's so difficult because every year, about August or September, we get a move that's usually in the midfield or front of the grid, and then that triggers a whole lot of moves. We've had that more or less the last 8 or 9 years for most of the seasons, and then you can get 3 rookies or 1 rookie joining from that. So,
well, yeah, you need to
it is
see
super
forces
tricky.
themselves, don't you? Who
Yeah.
who shows enough ankle.
I mean, also from 2023, or sorry, from 2022, then there's 3 new drivers on the grid this season. So you don't usually, or at least in the last few years, we've not seen big change over 2 years in a row. So yeah, that's where it's at for me. I just think, but
So Adam, you're throwing an AlphaTauri and what?
And a
question
mark.
Okay.
A large question mark.
That's a good way to get an answer right.
Yes. I don't know. It's just the weight of other drivers outside of. I mean, there's still like Ricciardo, Schumacher out there who'll be pushing for a seat. Drugovich, Liam Lawson, and F2. I think the weight of all of that will. I think at least 2 will make it on, but I'll go with 2. And next, moving on to another negative F1 topic from last season to this season, the cost cap. Obviously, Red Bull broke it last year, apart from Aston Martin and Williams in less publicised ways. Will anyone break it this season? I think yes. I'll just go straight in. I think maybe not maliciously, but I think teams are still getting used to it and how far they can push the boundaries and how far they can not push the boundaries. And I think someone will break it.
I think it's easy to forget that we had 2 procedural breaches as well last year.
Yeah.
From Aston Martin and Williams. But I don't think anyone will break the cost cap. Hooray!
See, when Red Bull broke it, we had that podcast on it in October time. I said I wouldn't be surprised if another team broke it. So I'm going to stick by that and say, like Adam, I think there's going to be some controversy later this year regarding the cost cap.
But it also depends who it is, because there was nothing controversial about Aston Martin covering it. Breaking it for 2021. And I was like, oh no, because they were running around in 8th in the constructors or wherever. So it may not be controversial from that angle. Yeah. Potentially one team breaking the cost cap for me and Nigel, and one driver will be crowned F2 champion as well. We talked about this in our preview, but we will go with definitive answers for this one. I'm going to say Ayumu Iwasa, Japanese Red Bull Junior driver who finished 5th last year. I think he's got a lot of potential, came on strong last year. Nigel, I can guess who I'm going to say is going to be the driver who Iwasa scored 3 points to 2 in the second half of last season.
Yes, it's Théo Pourchaire. I think he's the most talented driver in F2. And I think finally he's going to deliver on his promise, on his huge talent, and he's going to win the F2 title.
See, I'm going to say Iwasa as well. I think Iwasa was very impressive last year, and I kind of hope he wins. I think it'd be great if he does.
And where F2 goes, F3 follows. So we're going to follow straight up with that. I don't think we did give a championship prediction in our last podcast, so we will right that wrong today. F3 champion Nigel Chu.
Well, he's got the same surname as Ronnie O'Sullivan, so I'm going to go for Zach O'Sullivan.
I'm also going to go Zach O'Sullivan.
I'm going to go Dino Beganovic, Swedish Ferrari junior driver. But it'd be nice if Zach O'Sullivan did as well. I think we've all had interviews or various interactions with him over our short journalistic careers, which we outlined at the start. So yeah, and to have a British success in motorsport is nice to see. So yeah.
We're not biased towards Brits.
We both think it'll be, or we all think it'll be a Prema driver, is what we're seeing. Yeah. And then finally onto the big ones, our Constructors Championship predictions and our Drivers Championship predictions. It's gonna be interesting. I still don't have a real order set. So I think
we should say for constructors, it's not where we think the teams are going into the season, it's where we think they will finish the season after 22, 23 races of Formula One competition. And because that can be very different to where the pecking order lies currently.
It probably will be very different, won't it?
It probably will be.
That's part of the problem.
That's why it's difficult.
So basically, we've got to factor in who's going to develop the best, which drivers are going to make the least mistakes, who's going to be the best operationally. Factor all that in and come up with an order. Because operationally, Alfa Romeo and Haas, to me, have been pretty disappointing the last few years. So you've got to factor that in. They might have 6th or 5th fastest car or whatever. But then if they're not performing strategically, then they're not going to get the points. So this is a tricky one. We're going to go from 10th to 1st, aren't we?
Yeah.
10th, I have gone for, I'm going to say, AlphaTauri.
I've gone for AlphaTauri.
I've gone for AlphaTauri. Hooray!
Easy one to lock in to start with. And then 9th, we covered this further up with our bottom of the Drivers' Championship prediction. I've got Williams. I'm
Williams here as well.
I have Haas.
Oh,
interesting.
Yeah.
Why?
Just to be different. No. Basically, similar to what Nigel said about operation. I think Haas have a capability of throwing things away and just completely being lost on a lot of weekends. And I think that will start to bite quite a lot, particularly in the second half of the year.
Interesting. Very interesting.
See, I think Williams have made good sort of stable gains, and I think that I see more of that continuing than I see more of that continuing than I have confidence in Haas being more competent.
I know I've long said that Schumacher should have kept his seat rather than Hülkenberg, but on paper you would say Hülkenberg and Magnussen should score single-figure points in the early part of the season, whereas Williams. Are they going to do that? Not quite. I don't think they're going to have the pace to do it, quite frankly. But yeah, it'll be an interesting one to see if Haas do drop to 9th, because I think they will be very disappointed with that if that happened.
They would be. I mean, the noises coming out just seem really positive. They had Pietro Fittipaldi on F1 comms through testing, and he said like his conservative prediction was 5th to 7th. And I think just the vibe around the team, I think they, and Gunter Steiner as well has been really positive. I just think they feel like they're really on something here, and I don't think they'd be doing that just for bravado or whatever if they didn't. So
no, I don't think that. I just don't have faith in them. I think historically, I just don't have faith in this team.
Historically, I've not got faith in Williams either. I've got less faith in Williams based off the last 5 years.
I have got Haas 8th though. I don't think they're going to be that much better. So I've got Haas in 8th for me.
I'm kind of struggling with this. McLaren, Haas, and Alfa Romeo, because in our post-testing power rankings, then we had McLaren in 8th, and both Haas and Alfa Romeo above them. But it's then just how far McLaren are going to... I think they're certainly going to outdevelop Haas and most likely Alfa Romeo as well, because they've just got more, resources, more infrastructure, kind of... I'm just not sure it's how much they can overcome that when they're behind in the early part of the season. But also, this is probably where the first it's a long season is going to come in, because like George Russell said, for Mercedes, then you can pick up a lot more points later on down the line in terms of density of races if you're strong at the end of the season than you can if you come out the blocks flying. So we could see upgrades at Imola. We'll definitely see them at Barcelona. But I'm gonna back Haas. I do think their drive lineup's a bit better than Alfa Romeo's as well, so I'm gonna say Alfa Romeo. Oh, but then McLaren could be there, like genuinely. No, Alfa Romeo 8th.
Okay,
for me.
Locked in. Lovely.
Let it slide.
Freddie, you have assumingly gone for Williams. I'm guessing.
I've gone for Williams in 8th. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so we've all gone for 3 different positions. Freddie's gone Williams. I've gone Haas. And Adam has gone. You said Alfa Romeo, didn't you?
I said Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, that's fun, isn't it? Interesting. How lovely.
Yeah.
Look at
who have we got for 7th then?
Who have you got for 7th, Nigel?
I've gone for McLaren.
I think
this is going to be. I think this is going to be their worst season for
since like
the McLaren Honda days. Yeah. It's the technical team. James Key, he's obviously the technical director there, came in 2019. It's all going to be about the B-spec or big upgrades that they've got in the 4th or 5th round of the season. It's about that. If that doesn't go right, then they're going to be in big trouble. And, Norris, obviously, he could be part of the silly season moves that we were talking about earlier. So I think McLaren could be in for a long season, but I hope I'm wrong.
But they did develop so well last season. Like they stayed in the fight with Alpine for 4th a lot longer than they should have done.
Yeah.
But they developed a car they didn't really know much about and have made changes that haven't worked. Is the way I look at it. In that, and I think we've discussed a few times that McLaren have sort of been flattered by the likes of Lando Norris and Carlos Sainz in recent years.
But they've still got Lando Norris, which is another key thing.
But they've got they've got a Lando Norris who's not as happy as he has been, very openly and very visibly. The body language of Lando Norris is quite depressing, to be honest.
Yeah.
And that does add quite a lot to me, ranking them below the out of the top 5, out of the top 6, to be honest, for me. It's a really hard call, because you're right, Adam. The logical steps they've made through the season in 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, all 4 of the last 4 seasons point to them being, decent. But they've not had this bad a pre-season in any of those years.
The other thing is, with Norris on form, they could be like 0.3 slower than Alfa Romeo and Haas and still probably finish ahead of them in the constructors standings. Yeah. So it's if the cars are anywhere close, then McLaren will get ahead just through the driver lineup, or at least if Piastri is anywhere near where we think he'll be. So, but I'll say Haas.
Yeah. It's really tight, isn't it? It's really tight.
It is.
I think even though we've all gone AlphaTauri 10th, I wouldn't be surprised if AlphaTauri are in one of these positions that we've just said, 7th, 8th, 9th. So
no, I'm sorry. I'm back. I'm going to go McLaren in 7th. I'll agree with both of you.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, we've all gone quite bored there because to have McLaren, just think about that, McLaren in 7th, that is a huge story, I think, given.
I mean, they've dropped one place every season. Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like, people talk about the Racing Point in 2020. It was McLaren that finished 3rd. It wasn't Racing Point. So, they had that huge season with Norris in sight, and then they have just got backwards 1 place every year. This year, they could be going back 2 places.
I really hope they can develop their way into the season. I know we're all wrong, but it's going to be tricky.
Mm. And then I'm guessing we'll kind of mirror each other here, where Nigel...
Alfa Romeo 6.
Yeah, and then I'm going Haas.
Yeah. And I'm going Alfa Romeo.
There we go.
I mean, it was either Alfa Romeo or McLaren 6 or 7. I think Alfa Romeo would just nick it because I think they've built a very good car this year. Hats off to the engineering team there. The driver lineup is weaker, of course, than McLaren, but
I rate it more than you both do. I don't think it's as good as McLaren, but I do think I rate Bottas and Joe a bit more than you guys do. Personally,
you do.
Fastest time on day 2.
Joke
on you.
Let's run away with that.
For what it's worth.
Well, to be honest, from that, it's all downhill from here for Alfa Romeo.
But last season.
It's come a long way from Giovinazzi and Raikkonen.
Yes, it has.
When we started the podcast and then we did the pessimism stakes in 2021 because we just barely talked about them in our first series, then it's like they have come a long way from that. I'm just not sure. I feel like when me and Nigel last talked about Alfa Romeo, then we both said they take a step back. So
I would have agreed with you on that based on their sort of 2022 pattern, but they have made a decent jump this year, in my opinion.
Yeah. So there's 3 spaces difference between mine and Freddie's Haas prediction.
I think with Joe hitting the ground running this year, rather than taking the sort of period where the car's good to get good, that could, I think, to be honest, if it doesn't get them decent points, then you should be asking questions about Joe this year. Well, but he's got the benefit of the doubt from me for that for now.
Well, yeah, that is maybe somewhere where I think there will be questions coming up, but we'll save that for once they've actually driven some racing. Go on to 5th place. I've got Alpine. Going for another sweep.
Alpine.
There we go. Yeah,
solid 5th.
I think we spoke more about it in testing, and to be honest, I don't think they just seem to be clear of the bottom, and I imagine they'll outdevelop every team under them, bar maybe McLaren. But I'd probably back them to do that, and then they're just too much slower than Aston or any of the big 3 to bridge that gap. I think really.
Yeah. I'd agree. Yeah, I think the driver lineup, they don't have kind of 2 A-star drivers. They got 2 solid drivers. They should be getting points every weekend. It's about whether the car, just like last year, is good on a variety of circuits. Of course, we've only seen them around Bahrain. I think it should be. It's just the Aston Martin performance in testing was excellent, and then the big 3 is out of reach, I think, for Alpine. So I think they just have to naturally be 5th.
I think they're clear from everyone we've said, and I think they'll be nipping at the heels of the people we're about to say.
Yeah, agreed.
But who is that? Because we had Mercedes in 4th in our testing power rankings. I don't think anyone's got that now. Have we all got Aston Martin?
I've got Aston Martin 4th. I think the driver lineup, unfortunately, being quite one-sided. There'll be an arm behind the team's back this year, and it won't be Fernando Alonso's arm. The Lance Stroll of it all ties those hands behind their back.
Yeah, I'd have to
agree.
Yeah, as much as I'd love to put Aston Martin higher, I think Stroll's inconsistency is just too inconsistent, quite frankly. So I think 4th is as high as I go. I mean, are they really going to be ahead of Mercedes or Ferrari? Probably not, unfortunately. But early in the season, I think they'll be on par with them, if not ahead. It's just later in the season. I don't think they've quite got the quality in Stroll, and Alonso's not going to score enough to for them to be in third or second.
Yeah, the only top 5 constructor without a top 5 driver lineup. But so that'll be kind of potentially their limitation. Moving on to third, imagine, well, it's between Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull.
Oh shit.
Mercedes
I've got
third.
Ferrari.
Oh, Ferrari.
I've got Ferrari as well.
Oh,
Do you want?
It goes back to the old operational points, doesn't it? And I think Mercedes are starting the season in a better place to where they started last year. And if you extrapolate the figures of 2022, Mercedes in the second half of the season would have been better than Ferrari in terms of points. And
yeah, sorry,
I take that as I think Mercedes will be just able to pick up. I think it's gonna be close, but I think they'll be able to pick up that few more consistent points than Ferrari will.
It's exactly that. They lost by 40 points last season to Ferrari, which, considering how they both started the season, both in testing and Bahrain, you would just be mind-boggled if. So, yeah, I just don't. I think the way they improved, I just think, like Freddie said, operationally, not even, on what race days or anything like that, but just back at the factory, their whole mindset of improving the car is just so strong. So, yeah, but I know, Nigel, you rank Ferrari a bit better than most people anyway.
Yes, I think Mercedes is going to be similar to last year. They'll be a bit better earlier in the season. I think Hamilton and Russell will win a race or two, but I think the engine, to me, they appear to have the weakest power unit. The balance of the car, I'm still not as convinced compared to Ferrari and certainly Red Bull. I think it's going to be similar to last year, just slightly better. So I've got them in third.
Interesting.
Very
I think,
isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we said before that they're the most, the team with the most question marks around them. I think the only thing for me is, like, can they have as bad a year as last year operationally? Probably not. But
No.
Again, it's the step up from Mercedes, so we'll have to see. And then in first place,
First place, Ferrari are going to win the Constructors' Championship.
Getting deja vu.
Oh, are you saying it? Are you
Ferrari going to win?
Oh, that's fun.
I really think they've been holding back.
Oh,
I
love
don't
it.
think this talk of Red Bull dominated. I think they had favourites, of course, but I think with Vasseur there, they're going to fix the mistakes. I believe in the three Enricos that they've got in the team, in the technical team: Enrico Cardillo, sorry if I'm messing up the names, Gualtieri, and Enrico Racca, who's the chassis, power unit, and supply chain. They have those three names are leading those departments. Sorry. Yeah, I think they're going to fix their mistakes from last year, and with the driver lineup as well, I think they can nick the constructors from Red Bull.
Yay, that sounds fun.
Yeah, it's so Freddie, who have you got in first place?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
Most people would say Red Bull, wouldn't they?
I've got Red Bull.
I think
Mercedes second.
I just
say it.
I have so much
say
faith.
it. Do it.
I still have so much faith in Mercedes being able to pick up points more than the other two top teams. But I don't know if the car's there for it yet.
Say it, please.
No, Freddie, just say what you think's right. Say what you think's right. Go with your head.
I'm just going to mute you two for a second. Just it's like the Emperor's New Groove, where he's got like the angel and the devil on his shoulders. I don't know who's who. I mean, I think I've got to say Red Bull, then Mercedes.
Right. So you've both got Red Bull. I've got Ferrari.
I think actually one of the strikes I have against Mercedes is, I think operationally on race days they're just not there with Red Bull. I think the way, they could have had they could have had at least one, potentially 2 or 3 more race wins last season if they had got everything right. So it's there. It's that actually I'm not, even if their car gets to the level of the Red Bull, then I still think actually, when they're going hand for hand against them, can they get it done? I guess the kind of,
you're right.
bounce back against that is that Russell is a much better driver than Perez. Or maybe not much, but definitely a better driver than Perez, I would say. So they'll probably pick up more points there. And if Red Bull do develop their car towards Verstappen and away from Perez, then that may play into it as well. So I think, yeah, it's a difficult one, but yeah.
Ultimately, and I know I've said Ferrari, but if Red Bull do have the best car, Verstappen could easily finish 100, 125 points ahead of everyone else alone. And then in that sense, it doesn't matter too much how bad or well Perez does. So that is why Red Bull have to be favourites. But yeah, I'm just going to go a bit bold. Go with what I've seen and kind of hoping with a bit of confidence and go for Ferrari, which would mean it's been an exciting season as well if that happens.
Yeah, definitely would be that. I think I agree with Adam on the operational points. You just kind of Red Bull don't panic as a team.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I think that's kind of just the point really there.
So on to the drivers.
We nearly had 3 different constructors champions there.
We've only got
3 different drivers champions.
We've got one team that is in different positions for all of us, I think, and that's it, and that's Haas.
Yeah.
Other than that, each team has a level of agreement across the board.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's an interesting one.
I would be really happy if I'm wrong about Haas. To be honest, I would be really happy if they have a season like 2018 where they're up in the midfield again.
Depends which way I'm wrong about them. If I'm wrong about them because they're 4th, then that'd be amazing.
Oh yeah, exactly.
It's like if they're 6th, then fair enough. But yeah, onto our drivers' predictions. The crescendo of
now this year, Adam, you've got to make sure it kind of lines up with your constructors ones.
Yeah. There we go.
You can't have the second and fourth
got
place.
5 more minutes of this. 5 more minutes of this, and then we're into new predictions for the year. I can't wait. So, 5th place.
5th.
Nigel, since you suggested it.
Fernando Alonso's going to be 5th. Top 5 for Aston Martin.
Large. That is large.
The thing is, I actually believe in all these things as well. I'm not just saying it to be bold or different. I genuinely believe it.
I agree.
Ooh. Interesting. So, hang on. You think Mercedes got the second best car, but Russell or Hamilton? Yeah, Freddie's gone wrong already.
Wait on a second. Why do you think that I'm going to have Russell and Hamilton behind Alonso?
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, he could be the Ferrari. So
I've said one name out of. I said one name out of.
No, you're wrong.
20 drivers. You're assuming I put Hamilton 17th. I haven't.
That's because I've got to be 17th now.
This isn't the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix.
Was the Qatar Grand Prix the worst race?
What, the best race of 2023? The Qatar Grand Prix with the best sprint ever seen and an incredibly boring qualifying session.
So me and Freddie have gone Alonso 5th. Adam, who have you gone for?
I have
Stroll
gone for Alonso outside of my top 5. I have gone for Sergio Checo Perez in 5th place.
Interesting. Safe choice, that. Safe.
Yeah.
It's such a stupid answer saying Alonso's going to be 5th. And I just realised.
It's not like it genuinely.
No, it is.
You said it. You said it, and I was like, oh, I mean, it would be fun to see.
I thought I saw a corner here. Okay. 4th place. I've gone for Hamilton in 4th. I don't think Mercedes are going to have a car that's going to be in the top few places. So, yeah.
I've got Leclerc 4th.
Ooh.
I've got Russell 4th.
Ooh.
I'll say this now, actually.
This is fun.
Russell's not in my top 5.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great. He is. He's my 3rd.
Oh, was your 3rd? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, who? Hamilton?
No, Russell is 3rd.
Oh, okay. Leclerc is third for me.
I've got Sainz in third.
Oh, that's nice.
So you two
Interesting.
don't have Sainz in your top 5. Yeah.
No,
Hey, I haven't said that yet.
Okay.
I
Alright,
don't.
I'm assuming. Okay, you don't. Okay.
I don't
That's
know.
interesting.
I might have him 2 or 1.
Okay. That'll be interesting. Considering you said Ferrari third in the championship.
Sainz is an interesting one because he really seems to relish maybe some of the Ferrari-ness of being at Ferrari in a way that Leclerc doesn't, in terms of, he's maybe asserted himself on the team in terms of strategy, and he does, seem to, in terms of working behind the scenes with the team, and then, having that cool head-on race day, he does seem to have that element, but it is just fundamentally.
I think Leclerc does as maybe not the strategy bit, which we debated about last year, but I think he's got the other 2 areas that you mentioned there.
And I could have him second or first. So
I think yeah, his confidence and his assertiveness within the team, I think he has an advantage on, but fundamentally I just don't think he's as fast. And if the Ferrari isn't the second best card then, or in the top 2 cars, then he might struggle.
Okay, that's interesting. So just to recap before we get on to who's going to be the 2023 champion, I've got 5th to 3rd, Alonso, Hamilton, Sainz. Freddie, you've got, remind me.
Alonso, Leclerc, Russell.
And Adam's got
Perez, Russell, Leclerc.
Wow.
But I think Adams is probably the most legitimate so far.
Yeah, it is actually. Yeah. Oh, God.
Nigel, what are we doing? We're supposed to be the voices of reason on this podcast.
I know, we really balls it up.
Now, can you guys guess where I put Sainz?
Is it 6?
Yes. No, it's not. It's
So-
7th. I've got Perez 6th.
Okay. So, who do we think is going to be the 2023 Formula One World Champion? Who
I've
wants to
already
go
said it.
first?
I've said
You said
Verstappen.
Verstappen.
I've said Verstappen for most wins, so why not Max Verstappen?
Oh, do I? I'm really 50-50. I'm really 50-50 between Leclerc and
Really?
Verstappen.
Alex Albon?
I said
Freddie,
Verstappen's
you
Oh,
going
nice.
to
You
get
haven't
the
got
most.
all day.
I said Verstappen's going to get the most wins, but that doesn't mean he'll win.
No,
Right,
it
Leclerc's
said
going to
it.
win the championship.
Yay! He's gone for it.
Yeah.
Yes. Another thing to have over Nigel.
So Freddie, you had Verstappen and Leclerc as your
I had
top 2.
Verstappen and Hamilton as top 2.
Oh, okay. It was Leclerc.
Leclerc was 4th.
Ah, okay. I think in terms of I backed Hamilton over Russell, and I think it will be, I don't think Russell will be too far away, but I still back him over Russell, and then it's but I still just think Red Bull are a better team. I think it's pretty equal between the drivers, so
So do I.
that's interesting.
I mean, I'm pretty not confident about what I've said. I've had the Nigel.
Neither am I.
I've had the Nigel existential crisis about it all. So I know he's patented that, but whatever.
Oh, God.
I do kind of want to put Sainz or Perez in where Alonso is, but I don't really care.
So who's your second again, Adam? Who's your second place?
Hamilton.
Hamilton. So you're Verstappen, Hamilton. Do you think it will be like a 2021 really close, or is it going to be Verstappen's 100 points ahead? And
It'll be a 2013 for me, that kind of thing, where Alonso's second, but he's 150 points away from the guy who wins.
yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I would love it if Adam's more optimistic, because I have a feeling he might be.
Well, if you're saying Red Bull constructors and Perez, was Perez in your top 5?
Perez was, 5th.
Oh, he was, okay. Well,
We don't know how close this could be.
yeah, obviously it depends on the points. So,
Yeah.
tricky. Anyway,
It could be.
it
could be like 200, 199, 198, 197, and then everyone else on 196 points.
I don't think it. I don't think you can have 17 drivers.
Joined
on-
5th.
on
Alonso,
points.
Stroll,
Anyway,
Gasly, Ocon.
one final bit of housekeeping before, or not housekeeping, but matter to get to before we get to the end of this episode and can look forward with unbridled joy to the Bahrain Grand Prix is what happened in the Bahrain Grand Prix. So we're going to do a quick fire pole position and top 5 for the season opener. And it may not be quick fire because our predictions are rarely quick fire, but we shall
This whole
see.
episode.
Well, I need to go on for 2 minutes, so
Okay,
Get on with
I'll
it.
start. Verstappen, pole and win. Alonso second.
Oh, lovely.
Perez third. Leclerc fourth. Russell fifth.
I'm gonna go for
What are you gonna
pole position's gonna be Leclerc. Top 5 will be Leclerc, Verstappen, Alonso, Sainz, Perez. For me.
Nice and
Yeah.
fun. I'm going to go pole position Verstappen. Win Verstappen. Second, Perez. Third, Leclerc. Fourth, Sainz. Fifth, Alonso.
Logic.
Interesting.
Good logic.
The wait is nearly over,
You
and
know,
we are all very excited.
I'm
and we
usually
will
happy
be
with the
able to-
sporting predictions I make across different sports, but yeah.
Oh,
You said-
very
you said this
seasonally.
was- You said this was your favorite episode of the year was when we make
Yeah.
these predictions, and
This is-
now
and
look
for
at
some
you.
reason, no one even knows why, Nigel. For some reason, you said Qatar will be the worst race of the year.
Oh god. Yeah.
But-
that'll be interesting.
But with that, we will say thank you very much for listening.
Yeah, thank you,
and
guys.
We hope
Thank you.
we will be back after the Bahrain Grand Prix to give our analysis and reaction to it. But for now, goodbye and enjoy the race.
Bye, everybody.
Enjoy the race.
Bonjour.